Well, a very warm welcome everybody to another Sabbath service. Are we okay, Brother Phil? Okay. Well, if you could turn, brethren, with me to Psalm 19, just to start us off here. Psalm 19. We've been singing songs of praise, brethren, this morning, and I understand, obviously, we all understand that God is greatly to be praised. But we mentioned last week in the message there about understanding who we come before, and as such, our conduct should reflect who we come before. And you could really put one word under that, and that is we're coming before the God of the universe, and as such we should be acting in a reverent fashion, with reverence. In Psalm 19 and verse 1, it says, the heavens, this is the God we come before. This is the majesty of the God that we come before. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. So you could say that just for those of us that have been given eyes to see, brethren, and just by looking around, we see the glory of God. Just in creation, we see the glory of God. We see the expanse of the universe. And when we have that relationship with him, which is what we are trying to build, when we have this relationship with him, we know him and we see his majesty. We understand his majesty. Psalm 104, brethren. What we're looking at here, brethren, is really, in the last couple of messages as well, we look from Peter, and in the second chapter of Peter, he says, look, I know you know these things. And you could put that sort of soundbite over everything that we understand. We know that we know certain things, but Peter stirred the brethren up by way of reminder. And by way of reminder, I want to remind us who we're coming before. We're coming before the God of the universe, which nothing that can come from my mouth can eloquently describe the majesty of who we're coming before. Psalm 104, brethren, and verse 1. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, you art very great. You are clothed with honour and majesty. So again, there the psalmist says, just look. Just look at the power. Bless the Lord, O my soul. You are clothed with honour and majesty. So we should be standing as we come before God, when we understand who we are coming before, we understand his majesty, and we should certainly act in a reverent fashion. Verse 5, referring to this God that created the universe, referring to the God that created everything, put the breath of life into us, we see in verse 5 it says, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. In other words, the earth stands forever, as long as God allows it to stand. I think it's in the book of Job, where Job even recognises the boundaries of the sea. They can't go any further. He set the sun, he says, what is this thing, this planet that just hangs in the middle of space? Why does it not fall out of the sky? Or why does it not fall out of space? Understanding the majesty. I want us to understand the majesty of who we come before. It says, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Verse 13 of Psalm 104. He waters the hills, this God we serve. He waters the hills from his chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of your works. So we worship a God that is a creator, and he is a sustainer. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle, and herbs for the service of man. Herbs for the service of man. Let's think on that a bit. Herbs for the service of man. Don't herbs serve us in some of the medicines that are produced? Certainly of old. The God that we come before created those herbs for the service of man. And it says there that he may bring forth out of food out of the earth. So we plant these herbs, we plant all the vegetables, and it brings forth food. Verse 19. He appointed the moon for season. The sun knows his going down. He appointed the moon. We know from Genesis 1 verse 14. He set the moon and the sun in there for the seasons, for the appointed times, for the holy days, right back to creation. I know you know these things, but by way of reminder, in the world that we live in, we're coming before the God that done this and so much more. These are just snapshots, obviously. Verse 19 that we just read there. Verse 24. O Lord, says the psalmist, how manifold are thy works. In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of your riches. So wisdom by design. How manifold are your works? It's just there. You just cannot put it, we cannot eloquently express how perfect the creation was at the beginning. In verse 27, referring to the creatures. In fact, can we go back a bit? Maybe I can go back a couple of verses. O Lord, how manifold are thy works. In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping, innumerable, both small and great beasts. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan, whom you have made to play therein. All of those things we just read there, verse 27, these wait all upon you, that you may give them their meat in due season. Even the creatures of the sea depend on God. This is the God that we worship. It's Psalm 24, brethren. Psalm 24. And verse 1. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. So this earth that we stand on is the Lord's. Everything has been created by him. You can take some companion verses to Psalm 24, verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 26. That's 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 26. And Deuteronomy 10, 14 say something very similar. He says there in verse 2, for he has founded this earth, he founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. Psalm 19, brethren. Which we read out a minute ago. Just by way of repetition, the heavens God's glory do declare. And we sing that song. The heavens God's glory do declare. Let's go back to Genesis 1, brethren. Let's go back to the beginning. The psalmist alluded to the beginning, made reference to the beginning. Summed up really in one word, majestic. In Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And you know the rest. This is the creation of man and everything else. But there is order. We know that God is not the author of confusion. There was order from the beginning. And this is, if you want to go translate that now to where we are today, as we have services, we are challenged each and every week. But once services get underway, there has got to be order, which there is. But it wouldn't be good for any of us if there was just chaos and confusion. Chaos and confusion should be confined to the world outside, not in here. But in verse 28, brethren, of Genesis chapter 1, and God's created everything. He's created the men, Adam and Eve. And verse 28 said, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. That is a responsibility that we were given from the beginning. That man was given from the very beginning. I have made you, I put the breath of life into you. I've made you very different to the animals around you. I've given you a mind. And I want you to have a relationship with me. So therefore, go and be fruitful and multiply. And you have a responsibility to look after the world and the earth that I have given you. And what have we done? What have we done as a human race? What we've done is we've forgotten God. Again, which is why we shouldn't take it for granted for those of us who have an understanding of the privilege and frankly the miracle that's taken place in our lives as it relates to those around us. We live in a world, brethren, that is so far from God and how He intended things that it's just chaos and confusion out there. So, brethren, in conclusion for this short message here, we come before a God that words don't do justice to. But we serve this God in a world that has forgotten Him. And we mustn't forget Him. So He deserves our respect and our honour. We've been given a responsibility in so many aspects of everything we do. We are ambassadors for Him. We're ambassadors for Jesus Christ. So let us, as we go forth, day by day, remember who we serve. We serve the God of the universe. And He's greatly to be praised. Amen.